Your question was, what are some of the most common misconceptions about quality management systems, safety management systems, environment management systems, HACCP systems, data security management systems? So there's the ISO, if you like, so the ISO 9001s of the different types of risk. And that is that they've earned a reputation of being bureaucratic, lots of documents, expensive to implement, expensive to maintain. But the reality is that they're not, because they describe quite a logical set of steps to follow to manage risk. But what's happened is professionals have joined the industry that have felt that the best way, so execute the intent of the standard and implement a system, is to write thousands and thousands of documents. And so the standards themselves cop the blame for that. There's still a lot of regulators for the industries out there and businesses out there that have got regulators. There's still a lot of regulators and industries that like you to write policies and procedures to address legal and other requirements. There might be, all of the industrial relations requirements around employing staff or taxation management, those sorts of things in business. But the ISO standards get the blame for that, not the regulator. And so the misconception is that they're bureaucratic and they've got lots of stuff. But the true intent of those standards is the logical steps to manage risk. And I'll give you an example. So what are the things that could go wrong in this business over the next month? We could have a cash flow crisis, so we could run out of cash, and we need, obviously, cash is king and cash to run the business. Some suppliers send us invoices that, for the most part, are not related to a purchase order. So we send out purchase orders, but they send in invoices. So we could incur charges that we hadn't planned for. So that's a financial perspective, and I think that's relevant, whether it's relevant to everybody, because it could be for you at home. So you incur costs in your personal life that you just didn't plan for. There's two ways to control that. You can control that with insurance. So you can insure for and pay insurance for some expected things that could potentially go wrong. But you can't insure, obviously, for cash flow. So then when we talk about our management, our financial management system, we have a process and a procedure for sending out our invoices and our accounts to our customers, and then following up with our customers to ensure that they pay on time. And that's our process, that's our management system. What do we do if we have an emergency regarding one of our customers not paying? Well, then we escalate it. And so the management system or the policy says, well, when it gets to this, escalate it to that. And the flowchart says, if it's paid, that's fine. But if it's not paid, then you escalate it. And that's what the flowchart, the two different flowcharts in terms of our process says. And that's written down in a couple of documents so that we've got it to refer back to and use it as a guideline. So that's really risk management in the sense of financial, or from a safety perspective. What are the things that could go wrong? How could people get hurt? And what are we going to do to prevent them getting hurt? Not what are we going to write down to prevent them getting hurt, what are we going to do to prevent them getting hurt? So from a safety perspective at work, if it's a hazardous, unsafe environment, how are we going to control it? The documents, policies and procedures that get developed are a good way to record how we do it, but you don't have to. The standards don't say that you have to. From an analysis perspective, to see if you can be more cost effective, more efficient, to keep records of what you do, and sometimes you need evidence of that, but you don't need evidence from the standards perspective, you need evidence for your regulators. So the big misconception is that you've got to write lots of documents, and I'm a huge campaigner for think about your audience, think about your staff. Now, typically speaking, I've observed in all of my years in business that staff and the members of organisations like this one don't read the policies and procedures. They just don't. So stop putting so much effort into producing policies and procedures. Put more effort into embedding the knowledge in your people, not putting it in something that they can read and refer back to. So think about and focus on embedding the knowledge in your people, not embedding the knowledge in the documents, and having a process to continue to do that. So I would argue that you do less writing of policies and procedures and more training. I like the master and apprentice model. The executive leadership in organisations being mentors and leaders and providers of knowledge for the up and coming members of the organisation to consume that knowledge. So I think that's, without banging on too much, that would definitely be my thoughts around how we execute, and that's what we're focusing on here. We're focusing on ensuring that the executives spend good quality time with the members of their team, and I'm an advocate campaigner of, at all costs, avoiding writing too many policies and procedures, because we spend time developing them, no one reads them, and then they go out of date. So they are for the most part, a complete waste of money. I don't dispute the fact that there is a couple of essential policies that are good business to have, but definitely don't go and document lots and lots and lots. If you use safety as an example, safety risk control specifically, there's a concept called the hierarchy of control. So it's a risk management philosophy around, can we eliminate the risk, can we engineer the risk, can we eliminate, substitute, engineer, and then obviously have administrative requirements and then personal protective equipment. So administrative requirements means policies and procedures. If they're at the bottom of the hierarchy of control, why are they our first choice in managing and controlling our organisations? It's silly. So have a think about, can you substitute engineer? And we focus a lot here at Best Practice on our systems, our software systems and our CRM systems as our methods to work. So we don't need policies and procedures because we follow those systems, and those systems control our working environment and our workflow. And it doesn't work all of the time, and it's not perfect, but it's certainly trying to engineer the process so that we engineer out that scenario.